Good evening, everybody. This is Jeremy Dysock. I am FICO certified Credilife, a financial wellness company coach, and with me is Rick Wenner.
Also a FICO certified credit coach.
That's right, and we are here for our CrediTV Live. What we're going to do is we're going to give everybody who wishes the opportunity to join. Hopefully that includes you if you are watching. Couple quick updates. We do CrediTV every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Central. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific. Also, I want to invite you to join us this Friday. That is the 12th of January at 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. noon Eastern, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific. We're going to be having a special CrediTV free credit repair advice group live with Brian Kurzweil, FICO certified mortgage lender with TCF Home Loans. Hi there, Walter. Just giving a chance for everyone to join up. Also, for those of you who have been following, we did hit the minimum goal for our missionary that we are sending to Haiti, but I do encourage you to keep contributing because we have teamed up with a very amazing charity called Feed My Starving Children. With the amount that we've gone over so far on the minimum, aside from the teaching, aside from bringing in water, aside from the boots on the ground that we're actually doing in Haiti in June, we have actually cleared enough money to pay for meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner so far for 2 kids for an entire year. So normally we like to pride ourselves in the hashtag changing lives when it comes to Credilife and the free credit repair group. We can change that now. We can actually hashtag saving lives. We're taking people who would have otherwise starved to death and feeding them. So this is important work. I encourage you to stay part of it and keep contributing. Also, new things going on. We have got coming out with the next couple days 2 things I wanted to talk about. Number 1, we are going to be having a bi-weekly video newsletter you'll be able to sign up for. It'll be an email newsletter that you'll be able to put in your email address, your name, and you'll get this sent to you. It's going to be on really poignant topics and good stuff from the group. This is all free. We really put this together with the backing of Credilife. They're backing this whole thing on the free credit repair advice group. So they're backing the bi-weekly free credit newsletter, and they're doing it for the group really partially as a thank you for all the group members participating in this mission outreach, because we take a very holistic approach to credit. We know it doesn't operate in a vacuum, and there's a reason we call ourselves a financial wellness company, not just a credit repair company. Part of our outreach, part of our mission statement is to make sure everyone's got access to everything they need, be it financial information all the way up to clean water to drink and food to eat. So bi-weekly video newsletter. Second thing, something kind of fun that's coming out with tax time coming, we've had a lot of requests for gift certificates that will be made available for the Credilife company, that can be used on merchandise that we've got, that can be used on the different programs, the budgeting program. They can even be applied to credit improvement programs, even business credit. So these are things you can use for yourself. If you're getting a huge tax refund and you know yourself, like I know myself, I would spend that damn thing immediately. And if one of your goals for 2018 is to go ahead and have a credit improvement program take place, you may want to tuck away what it would take you for 6 for 12 months of that. Buy yourself a gift certificate and
gift it to somebody.
Earmark that money or gift it to someone. If you've got kids who you think could use a budgeting program, probably best spent $150 you could ever do. Get your kids on the right path for that. So exciting things. Bi-weekly newsletter that's free. Gift certificates, totally a new thing, new concept. I don't even think anyone out there in credit and financial wellness offers something like that. So those are kind of fun. Kind of fun things. So tonight, talking about credit reports. It's the new year. A lot of you have set credit improvement and financial wellness as one of your New Year's resolutions. Well, you're not going to be able to start talking about this without looking at one of these bad boys. This is a credit report. Yours won't come out with quite as much marker on it unless you own a Sharpie and do it yourself. This was to redact the important personal financial information, because unlike a lot of companies out there, we are not stupid enough to post somebody's personal information on the web. But, you know, there are groups who probably would, but, you know, we're not.
I'd like to set some analytics up for how important Jeremy's review of this and mine as well. I'm going to ask a question of Jeremy and just put him on the spot here a little bit. But in our combined 60 years, Jeremy, how many of these documents, credit reports, do you think between the two of us we've looked at?
Oh my God. Few 100,000, literally over years and years and years and years of working in credit.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of.
And how many times do you think the average consumer has looked at their own credit, let's say over a 40-year?
Hopefully at least 40 times, and that's kind of where I want to kick off with the free annual.
Sounds good.
But yeah, this is a very important thing to do. If you have not reviewed a credit report, I want you to literally, after you're done with this, don't do it right now because I want you to semi-focus. It's hard enough for me to focus on this, but if me and you guys are all ADDing, we're gonna have a heck of a time. So you got a couple different options for credit reporting. Number one, I don't like the term entitlement, but there is something we're entitled to. I'm entitled to it. Rick's unfortunately entitled to it. You guys are all entitled to it. We're all entitled to a copy. Yeah, 40 times a year, Jared. Please, yes, pull your credit 40 times a year. Make sure they're hard inquiries. But
I think what he meant is 40 times over a
40-year lifetime.
Once a year.
Right.
Every 365 days.
Give or take a day for leap year. Well, I guess usually give.
So we're entitled to see.
We're entitled to a copy of our own credit report. Now, here's the thing. When I'm talking about credit reports, when Rick's talking about credit reports, even when Jared's talking about credit reports, bless his heart as they say down south, what we're talking about, we don't care. Here's the dirty little secret of credit report. I don't care about your score. I do not care what your score is. I care about the profile, the nuts and bolts, the accounts, the componentry that makes up your score, because if we get that in the right shape, your score is simply a derivative of having those right components in place to plug into the FICO algorithm. Now, you have a million places to look at your credit. You got your Credit Karmas, you got your Credit Sesames, your Credit Shield 360s, you got your Score Senses, and you got your Discover card might give you your score, and your Capital One give you your score. And all of these people, there are people who are telling you, oh, this is your FICO score. Go to My FICO, you'll get your FICO score. Or maybe it's your Vantage score. Guess what? Not a single one of these scores is your lending score. Every one of them, without exception, is a consumer-facing version of a score, a consumer-facing version of a FICO score, a consumer-facing version of a Vantage score. So these scores that you guys are worrying about, you're panicking about, and I see you posting on Credit Karma, oh my God, my score dropped 35 points. I'm gonna jump off a bridge. What do I do? I'm gonna die. I'm never gonna hit my goal. None of these scores are real. They're not real. They're not accurate. They're not your lending score. Seriously, go ahead and print them. Print them on paper. That in an origami class, it'll let you make a swan. That's all they're good for, okay? Don't worry about them. Worry about your profile. That's one of the reasons that free annual credit. If you go to freeannualcreditreport.com, basically just Google free annual credit report. You are entitled to a free copy from Equifax, a free copy from TransUnion, and a free copy from Experian annually. And that's a full copy of all the data they've got, the places you've lived, the people you've paid, the people you didn't pay so much, the inquiries you've made, all of that, even marketing inquiries will be listed in there. It's all on there, everything but your FICO score, because frankly, you're not entitled to that. That's pay to play. And you can go to this and you can get a very in-depth set of credit reports. You only get one Equifax, and one Experian, one TransUnion. Your Equifax is going to be 90 pages long.
Yes.
It's insane the amount of data they're going to give you. And of that 90 pages, about 10 pages of it are important. About 80 pages are going to confuse the crap out of you. You're not even going to know what you're looking at. They don't mean anything. Then maybe they're not applicable. But you're entitled to this. So if you literally have got no pennies to rub together, you are still able to get a copy of your credit report. So there's no excuse for you not to start. There's no excuse for you not to go on there and save a PDF copy of that for yourself and see what's on your credit report. And Isaac, thank you for posting that link, freeannualcreditreport.com. Jared, annualcreditreport.com. We're in the right place. Yeah, there's no reason for you not to start there and at least get your arms around what's going on. Get your arms around your credit. People know what's in their bank account. People are worried about what's in their retirement account. Their refrigerator. They're worried about what's in their refrigerator. God knows I am. But people don't do something as simple as looking at their credit report annually. And this is something you're entitled to for free.
Can I throw something out there? I think one of the things that I come across a lot when I'm having this early part of the conversation with people is it a hard inquiry, or is it going to affect my credit profile to pull my annual credit report? And the answer is no. You are entitled, as Jeremy said, to access once every 365 days a free annual credit report. It is not an inquiry. It's not a lending decision, and it doesn't create a negative.
You're never going to get penalized for looking at your own credit. Now, you get penalized if you go to the Mall of America, run up and down each hallway and apply for everything you can see. Or if you do something dumb and take some advice from somewhere and apply for 35 retail cards, through their websites because they offered you a pre-qualified this, that, or the other thing, because God knows we're all going to Victoria's Secret thong ourselves into a new house. Right?
Every time, the thing to keep in mind is, and I tell a lot of people this, if you are asking someone to make a lending decision and the action is required is to pull credit, that's a hard inquiry. If you get on a consultation with Jeremy or Chaz or myself, and we are accessing your credit report through one of the services we're going to go through, it's a soft pull and it doesn't affect your credit. But absolutely, get a hold of a copy of an annual credit report. The second question I always ask people is, when's the last time you've looked at your credit report? And Brittany, thank you for standing up there, or a few of you. A lot of people have never looked at their credit report. They've never looked at the detailed information that TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax are absorbing.
The question is, how can you address this if you don't know if it's right or wrong? And that's what a lot of this comes down to. People say, oh, you want to do dispute letters, you want to do this. You got to start at the beginning. You have to know what's in there. You have to be educated before you go barreling forward into this thing. Hey, Fidel asked a great question. So do I have to wait a year? If you're asking if you have to wait a year because you just, a week ago pulled it, well, yeah, you got to wait a year for your free annual because a week ago you pulled it. But if you haven't pulled your credit report, your free annual, no, you don't. You're entitled to get that right now. Sarah posted bestcreditreportreviews.com. I'm real curious, not familiar with it, but we're going to start off with the fact that I'm going to, I clicked the link. In no way, shape, or form follow anything on that site. It looks like a steaming pile of dog crap, from the best I can tell. But then again, I'm a professional in the industry. What would I know? So, not trying to dog you, or dog crap you. But yeah, no. All right, so the number one thing we're recommending to you is something we're all entitled to. It's that free annual credit. Now, if you want a copy of a credit report that you can understand, yeah, thanks, Jared, with the spam. Bingo, you nailed it. If you are looking for a credit report you can understand, if you're looking for one that updates every month without negatively impacting your score, and that you can use to monitor and track your progress, there's one site that we recommend. It's not because because I own it. God, I wish I owned it. It'd be a hell of a thing. It's not because we have an investment in it. It's because the price is fair, the customer service is decent.
It's easy to understand.
The layout it's in plain English. It's real easy to lay out. It's called IdentityIQ.com. IdentityIQ.com. Now, here's the catch. If you go to IdentityIQ.com, you can sign up for their monthly credit monitoring service. It's $29.99 a month. They'll automatically charge your credit or debit card. And yes, it's a well-spent $30. I write mine off my taxes. My tax guy says I can because it's a financial planning tool. Your mileage may vary. Talk to your tax person. But I keep IDIQ open for myself. My wife keeps IDIQ open so that we can pull up a credit report every month and monitor it. Now, I said there's a catch. The catch is if you go straight to their site, it's $30. We send enough people there that Jared and Brian from our company from Credilife were able to negotiate special pricing for you. They were able to look at that. That's one of our members. Definitely, yeah. They were able to. You can identify all kinds of stuff there. They were able to work out, and I'm stalling while I pull up the link. A discounted membership service, and there, boom. I just posted it in the comments. If you go to that my800credit.com / a whole bunch of stuff, but the link is right there. You can get Identity IQ. It's the same thing, $21.99 a month. You save $7. It's a good deal. So why Identity IQ, Rick?
Three things that absolutely need to be part of any sort of assessment or audit of your current credit status and ongoing, and that is having access to all the aspects of a single account.
Right.
We'll get a little bit more into that in a minute. Secondly, it's online. I don't have to mail away for it. It's online. It's convenient. The convenient access.
You don't need paper. You can save things if you want. You can print things if you want.
You can print it if you want. You can get some alerts. So I like the fact that it's online. It has all the information that I need. And probably the most important thing I like about it is when it comes into the processing of investigating of the file, it shows me the key derogatory information that I need to assess. All right. What Jeremy said earlier is absolutely correct. Your score does not matter. It's like going to the doctor and the only thing the doctor does is weigh you. Does that tell you whether you're healthy or not? Does that give you the doctor? Or
they said I have fat.
Did they just do that by weighing you, or did they?
No, they just looked at me and pointed and laughed before I got in the office.
Get a different doctor. Oh. It gives you the key information that you need, and I'm going to get into this in a little bit when I talk about Credit Karma, and maybe I'll talk about it right now. Credit Karma is not summarizing the key derogatory information that FICO would be identifying and determining your score. They're telling you things in Credit Karma like, look at your inquiries, or blah, 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 blah. It's not the exact FICO factor that's affecting your score. So those are the three reasons. One, all of the information. Two, the specific information that's affecting your profile and your score. And three, it's convenient. It's awesome to use.
We use professionally Identity IQ for a couple of reasons. It's the ability to refresh that thing every month is just amazing. I mean, you can plan when you want your rounds of investigation letters to go out. You can refresh it accordingly. You can go, okay, I know if I send letters to the bureaus and say, hey, prove it or remove it, I know that after everything's said and done, it takes about 45 days with mailing time for it to get back to me. So I personally will refresh mine every 45 days. But in between there, you're going to get alerts, email alerts, if something changes, if something is new, if someone applies for something in your name. So you've got some identity theft protection built in. You've got an ongoing tracking. You can access this thing on a computer, on a tablet, on a smartphone, anywhere you want. You can print them out on paper if you're old like me and you like to be able to circle things and highlight things and see them from halfway across your nose. You can print them out, you can save them as PDFs, or they're always there available digitally. So it's a great tool. So free annual credit, a great way to get your credit report for free. Little complex to read. Identity IQ, awesome, awesome, awesome way to get your report. Now, we mentioned that tonight we'd be showing you kind of what makes up your report a little bit and how to read it. Okay, so we're gonna be holding up some paper to the camera. So you get your credit report from Identity IQ. Let's say you print it out or you're reviewing it. Now, every credit report is going to be made up of segments. Now, one thing you'll see here, this is a 3-bureau credit report. Or in the credit industry, in the mortgage industry, in the blurry industry, hopefully that's the camera and not my eyes. Otherwise, I may have just had a stroke. I think that's the camera.
It's the camera.
Okay, great. I'll say it. Autofocus is tremendous. All right. Anyway, if you go really close to the camera, you'll be in focus.
You look better then.
I look better.
Yeah,
I look better further back. It's outstanding. So,
Tri-merge credit report.
Tri-merge credit report is where we're heading with that. Yeah, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion all merged together into one report. So, it'll have 3 columns throughout it. The credit report will. You'll have a column for TransUnion, you'll have a column for Experian, you'll have a column for Equifax. They'll never change positions. They'll always be in the exact same positions throughout the entire thing. We are having focus issues. Not just my attention span, but I mean actual camera focus. They'll be in the same positions throughout the entire report. And there are a number of different sections that you'll be able to start out with. The first section is going to be personal information. Its name, its address, its name variations, its address variations, previous addresses. It's got no bearing on your score. There's been a lot of chatter lately in the room about that, and it's got no bearing whatsoever on your credit score. So what's the advantage, Rick, and what's the potential disadvantage of removing old addresses and names and things like that from your credit? Do you know?
I know potentially what they are.
Potentially, what are they?
They are potentially if an older account has that address attached to that account.
Yep. There. So that's how you refocus. That's it.
But as far as a direct lender decision being made?
Right. So no lending decision is ever going to be made on the fact that you lived at 123 Mockingbird Lane, 10 years ago. Here's the thing, though. A lot of people say, oh, you want to remove these old addresses because they can be used to loosely attribute past negatives to you. Maybe that's, it'll make getting rid of things easier. We don't operate in a vacuum here. If those old addresses can be used to help tie past negatives to you, can't those same old addresses be used to tie past positives to you?
Yes.
So what could potentially happen if you eliminate those old addresses?
The 36 car payments I made to the Capital One account that I financed my last vehicle with.
Right. So I've heard people over the past couple of days going, well, I got an old address removed, my score dropped. Well, that's because you listened to somebody's advice who told you that the addresses are apparently what you need to focus on your credit. And that resulted in loosely severing that loose tie that tied it to it. So when we're looking at these things, these are not the most important parts. Really interesting. Okay, here, let's see. Kimberly Ann Rice asks, one time when I was applying for a job, they needed to look at my credit. When they saw all these names I have in my credit report, they assumed that they were aliases and never asked me what it was about. I didn't get the job, so it did hurt me in that instance. Honestly, Kimberly, they were morons.
And breaking the law.
Yeah, they're also breaking the law, but they're sort of a bucket of stupid. If they couldn't figure that out, or they didn't have two brain cells to rub together to make a spark and go, hey, Kimberly, what could this be? Instead, they just said, no, we're going to pass you over. Either that wasn't the reason, or they were dumber than a box of hammers.
No, it sounds to me like some convenient thinking, Kimberly. It's unfortunate that happened in your situation.
They don't hire me because I'm too attractive.
Or because of all your aliases.
It could be my aliases. Jeremy, the attractive one, Dysa.
When it comes to the only time I've ever seen address history or anything in the profile section become a part of a credit or lending decision,
realistically, yeah,
is when a landlord or a property management firm sees that you've been revolving where you live very frequently. But other than that, I've seen hundreds of thousands of account-related transactions. I have never seen that be the pinpointed reason for someone being denied credit.
No, it's kind of like when people say you were denied for too many inquiries. That's not why you were denied. That's never why you were denied. All right.
So as irritating as it is maybe to see an ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or
ex-wife's
address on a credit report, it's a profile. It's simply there to identify certain key things. Everything else beyond that is tied to your social security number and the account number.
Right. All right. So that first section, that's personal information: name, address, sometimes phone number, depending on identity IQ. They don't give that. Previous addresses, previous employers. It's got no direct bearing on your score. The next section you're going to see right below that, as you pull it up online or as you print it. I feel like I'm making a mistake every time I do that. Yeah, I am with the focus issue. Let's boom, giant hand.
Oh, there you got
giant bald head. All right, there we go. Perfect. The next section you're going to see is credit score. Now, mind you, Identity IQ, they use Vantage scores. Vantage is a scoring model like FICO is a scoring model. FICO is used by about 90% plus of all the lending institutions in the United States. Vantage claims to be used by the other 10. It's not even used by the other 10. But it's an okay indicator to know if my score is going up, my score is going down. I'm either maybe doing good things or I'm doing bad things. So your scores will be listed there. Now, the next section in your credit report as you go down on Identity IQ is going to be a summary. It's a snapshot of what's on your credit report. Open accounts, closed accounts, derogatories, collections, balances, payments, public records, and inquiries over the last 2 years will all be listed there, and they'll be listed side by side. And then after that, there's the big part, the part we worry about. When I say your account profile, I'm talking about the next section, the account history. And the reason it's so important to use something like Identity IQ versus Credit Karma or some other, as I call them, FACO score sites like that, the reason is because the depth of information. On your Identity IQ, you're going to get the name of the account. You are going to get the account number. Part of it may be redacted, meaning you may only get a partial account number with asterisks. So again, here we're going to try to focus. If you're didn't do it slow enough. There we go. Boom. If you're doing investigations, you'll want the account number. Now, you may get 5 numbers and a bunch of asterisks. Go ahead and put the 5 numbers and then the asterisks as the account number on your investigation letter. You'll be fine. But you've got account number, account type, account details. Is it a credit card? Is it a mortgage? Is it a collection? Bureau code. Is it individual? Is it joint? Are they an authorized user? Account status: open, closed, paid. Monthly payment, date open, balance, number of months in terms, high credit, credit limit past due, payment status, last reported, comments, date last active, or the DOLA, date of last activity. You're going to get date of last payment, and you're going to get a 2-year revolving history of your payments. Is it okay 30, 60, 90 days late, charge off, that sort of thing?
Jeremy, if I may?
Yep.
If you could refocus this, I want you to put this up for a second. And this is an example of an account that Credit Karma summarized for a client of mine as being okay.
All right, so they said this account was okay?
Yep.
So if you can see what we're putting here, they summarized this account
The top one there.
as being okay. Now, in December of 17, it says okay. But if we go back to April of 16, you see 180s and 120s in there. That's 120 or 180 days. Refocus. So good at it before here. Here we go. Follow that. Boom. So this thing was 180 days late, you know what, 15 months ago?
15 months ago.
And Credit Karma said it was an okay account. Now, if your mortgage lender were to look at this thing, do you think your mortgage lender, do you think that underwriter, you think they're going to look at something that 15 months ago was 180 days late? You think they're going to call that an okay account? Would you call it an okay account?
No.
That's not an okay account. Something's gone horribly wrong with this account.
And the reason I brought this credit report in today is this is someone I talked to like a week ago, and they couldn't figure out what was going on with their credit because Credit Karma kept saying, okay, you've got too many inquiries, many inquiries. And until I put my eyes, the credit oracle eyes,
your eyes,
on these late payments,
yep,
this person would have never been notified or been made aware that this was the issue.
And these are the same people who say, look, I applied for a Capital One card, or I applied for a mortgage, I applied for this, that, the other thing, I couldn't qualify for it, why not? And my Credit Karma says I'm all right. Well, it's because it's not good information. That's why we encourage you to use something like Privacy Guard. That's why we encourage you to use something like Identity IQ that we highly recommend. By the way, these two are interchangeable. Right now, I'm a big fan of Identity IQ because their servers have had more uptime. I mean, that's just a Jeremy thing. That, and I can consistently advise it, so I can say, hey, look on page 4, look at this column, and you'll know exactly where I'm advising. The last couple sections in here, so you're going to go through your Identity IQ, and you're going to see all these accounts. You're going to see their statuses. The next section on your Identity IQ credit report is going to be inquiries. And if you look here, you get down to the end of everything of accounts, and boom, there's inquiries. Now, inquiries on your credit report, we're going to do the refocus trick. We need, hey, Jared, if you're still watching, a belated Christmas present, better autofocus. Let's say, there we go. Hell with it, I look better this way. So inquiries are the next thing they put on there. And you're going to have inquiries from the last 24. Wait, here we go. Follow. Ugly. All right, there we go. Inquiries from the last 24 months will be on there. Now, keep in mind, FICO inquiries, actual account inquiries, they only impact your credit score for 12 months. So right out of the gate, we're not going to worry about 12 months worth of these inquiries here. Now, since in the FICO algorithm, inquiries only make up 10% of your score, we're not going to worry about them that much anyway. Last article on there, last item on there is going to be public information. Public info, that is tax liens, that is judgments, that's bankruptcies and things like that. Okay, those are the big nasties, and those will be located on the credit report as well. It's not an overly exciting topic, but this is the 101 topic. How do you read a credit report?
I think it's one of the more important topics because people will. There is nothing I think other than just being awesome super cheerleaders for our clients and motivational speakers and coaching and all the great things that we do that are part of the coaching process. the actual audit of the credit report and being able to define what the actual issue is with the credit profile, I think is the most valuable thing that the Credilife team provides.
Right.
Is being able to distinctly determine, before we can even get to a solution, we need to know what the issue is. And it's well beyond the score. It's pretty easy to say a 500 credit score is not good.
Right.
But why?
It's not.
Why? Yeah, well, it's not.
It's
but why? There could be an infinite number of reasons why 100,000 people have the same exact credit score, but they all have a unique credit report, and that's what we need to look at. And that's what you need to look at if you're going to be working on
sometimes people will ask us a question in the group, and maybe you'll flash up something from your Credit Karma or something like that and say, hey, my score dropped 40 points, and here's the situation. Why is that? And you'll see us respond going, it's impossible to tell without a real credit audit. It's impossible to tell without looking at at a full credit report. This is what we're talking about. This is why we say this to you, because it really is. It's impossible to tell that somebody's 500 score is because they had a bunch of things go into a bankruptcy, where someone else's 500 score is they've defaulted on 10 student loans versus whatever the situation is. 30 minutes in to this Facebook Live, I want to open up the floor, floor looks good.
I wanted to say one other thing before we open it up.
We're not going to open it up yet.
Jeremy and I both were loan originators. We were both loan officers. And I will tell you right now, 95% of the loan officers that are out in whatever community or area you're in,
Blaine, Minnesota,
do not know what we know about how to read a credit report. And it's not that they're incapable of doing it. It's that they haven't looked at the volume of credit reports. They're not FICO certified, except for Brian for Friday.
Right, that's going to be huge.
On what to look at. All they're taught is what is going to get someone denied. So that's all they're looking for. And I'm going to flip this around. This is not about putting your credit in a position where it's a 640 credit score or better. It's about improving everything in this credit profile so that you save money on long-term interest rates. It's about having financial wellness beyond just the qualification process. So what I'm getting at is, most of the time, if a lender is getting into specific details on your credit report, it's just enough to get you to the qualification table. It's not enough to get you to the best possible interest rate you can get in the shortest period of time.
A lot of them are fans of the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum. Oh, what's the minimum I need to qualify for this mortgage? What's the minimum? It's like going to the doctor and saying, hey, doc, I know I got diabetes, but what's the minimum I need to be one blood sugar point away from diabetes? What's the minimum I need to be 1 point away from a debilitating illness? Right. If I just so I don't die tomorrow, what's the minimum thing I got to do? Because I want to teeter on the edge of mortality because I'm either lazy or too stupid to know I might want to be 2 points away from diabetes.
Yeah, think big on these things and don't focus in on one thing. That's another thing I see a lot of people do. They'll come in and say, I have a Verizon collection that's $1,100, and although that might be the emotional frustrating thing in your credit life, or that might be the most irritating factor emotionally in your credit life, I can guarantee you, when I look at your credit report, it's not the only opportunity you have to improve your credit profile.
No. Well, we want you to be focused on your goal. If you're working with Credilife, if you're doing this yourself in the free credit repair advice group, we want you to be focused, singularly just drilled in, focused on your goal. But when it comes to your credit report, we want you to have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. We want you to be as ADD as possible. I want you to look at this is a factor, that's a factor, that's a factor. I know all these things are coming at me all at the same time, and they're all factors. If you focus on one thing too much, you're going to miss everything else going on. So just remember, WWJD, what would Jeremy do? I'm about as ADHD as you're ever going to find. So just remember, what would I focus on, or what would Rick focus on? What would we worry about the fact that I've got 9 inquiries?
Or my ex-wife's address on my credit card.
Right. Oh my God, I can't believe I've got an ex-employer on here.
One other thing, this is a topic for this conversation, and that is, and Tiffany does a great job of administering this on the site, and that is the idea that when you look at this document, that you need to be looking for things that you think are errors.
Right.
Only about 7% of what's on a credit report is actually an error, meaning it was never accurate, it's false. But yet 67% of what's in a credit report can't be verified. So I'll leave you with that thought before we open up questions and answers. Is when you're auditing your credit report, put the burden of proof on the entity that put that information in there.
Right.
You don't have to verify that information.
Right. It's kind of like getting accused of a crime and you got to prove you're innocent. It's not how it works. It's if they can't prove it, they got to remove it. That's how it works.
That is how it works.
Want to open up the floor to some questions? Want to open up the broadcast to some questions? We got some good topics going on here. So I want to scroll up through this. Let's see. Wow, yay for the bi-weekly video. Awesome. Yep. 40 times a year. Thanks, Jared. What is the first thing you look at? Susan asks, what's the first thing you look at when you look at a credit report?
What's the first thing I look at?
Mm-hmm.
I look at the summary, the second section on the credit report, and I look for how many accounts have had at least one late payment on it.
Right. Right. I look at the same thing. I look at really that summary. It's a snapshot. It's there for a reason. It's there for convenience for you. It's there for convenience for us. You've got derogatory. What's derogatory? Are there any collections? Are there any public records? Are there any inquiries? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 bad things. The other things I'll look for is I look to see if they've got balances open. I look to see if they've got accounts open. How many total accounts open do you have? If I see one account open, I know we need to do some account development. I know we may need a self-lender. I know we may need a Finger Hut Fresh Start card or a Finger Hut Advantage card. I know we may need a First Progress secured card, or we may need a Credit One unsecured card.
And notice the one thing that Jeremy and I haven't mentioned is collections.
Right.
Collections are the last thing I look at because it's not the low-hanging fruit and the best opportunity to improve the situation. A collection is going to pretty much become black and white after we go through the verification process and the validation process. But those are the things we look at first, Susan. Derogatory and what amount of credit building is going to be needed to get that profile in the best possible position.
Excellent question. So yeah, us as professionals, we're looking at that summary, probably the first place you guys want to look to. Brittany says, I'd never even seen my actual credit report until last week. I thought Karma was it. Absolutely. Credit Karma only gives you part of 2 bureaus. It's not even all 3 bureaus. So it's like getting a 66%. When you were in school, what did a 66% on a test get you? What kind of grade? I got an F for that. What school did you go to?
I don't know. I never got. But
I never went to school?
I never went. And I never attended school.
I never went to. Yeah, that makes it easier not to have to remember that.
Not good. It also only shows 9 of 27 aspects of an account. So
right.
You're not alone, by the way, and I'm so glad a lot of you are so brave to ask these questions
right.
in an open forum. You're not alone. It's epidemic. Jeremy and I could spend the rest of our lives educating people on credit, and we'd only put a dent in it. But
you probably will.
Get a handle on the credit.
But you're 1 point away from diabetes, so you're going to die sooner. Well, I already have it. What's that mean?
Maybe you're only 1 point away.
Maybe I'm 1 point away from winning. I may already be a winner. At least I don't have to eat insulin yet. You eat it, right?
In your case, probably.
Okay, probably. Well, I ate. That's how I got having to be that close to it. All right. When you review your credit, okay. Here's Fidel asks, what if the site crashed when you pull it? When you pull your credit, you can typically plug yourself into it. I mean, if you're going through Identity IQ, you can totally get right back in. You'll have an account number. It'll be done by your email address and stuff like that. If Free Annual did it, you may want to be giving those guys a telephone call. If that did happen to you, I mean, by those guys, I mean the credit bureaus. If that happened to you, I want you to go to the files section of the group. If you're on a PC, the files section is up here. If you're on a cell phone or a tablet, the file section is going to be up here a little bit, where you see things like you'll see discussion and photos and all of that. You'll want to scroll over until you find the file section. But you go in there, and I've got contact information for all 3 bureaus, phone numbers available. Great question, Fidel. I mean, it's a really good question. Let's see what else. When you view your credit, Brittany asks, I recommend being on an advice you can print or download it from. Great advice. Even if you're on your mobile phone, just screenshot it. And there's always a way. No, Fidel, that's why you asked if you had to wait a year. No, give the bureaus a call, my friend. Jared says spam. Okay. Awesome. I pulled my free credit report, and now I had to get a separate one from Experian, Kathleen says. Not sure why, but I know when you pull your free annuals, they're actually separate between Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, so that may be what you're referring to. Hopefully I'm on the right track. Kimberly says, one time when I was applying for a job, yep, we handled that one, and God bless them. Trust me, you didn't want that job. All right, Can you get a recent car repo off, Kathleen asks, off your credit report or student loans? Yeah, anything on your credit report, be it a bankruptcy, a repossession, a student loan, a simple late, they're all at the same mercy of having to verify, validate, and document that they're accurate and factual, current, correct, and verifiable as of today. If they can't do those things, they have to, by law, be deleted from your credit profile. Good questions, good questions. Yep, Brittany says, yeah, you can get anything off your credit. Someone says, looked upside down on my screen, Susan said. Kathleen and Brittany, the guy told me you could help fix my credit and get those items off, but I was told you could not get student loans removed unless you paid in full or dead. Brittany asked, who was that guy? CrediTV said this guy is likely a drug user. Stacy says, I have doctor bills only. I just don't know where to start with them. Okay, Stacy.
I want to jump in real quick.
Go for it.
Stacey,
you can do it.
I love these questions. Yes, you absolutely can. But Stacy, this is another thing that I push a lot on the site, and I know it probably rubs people the wrong way. I would love to look at your credit report for one reason, and that is if you think that doctor bills is the only opportunity you have to improve your credit, you got to look at that full report again with a copy of that FICO wheel in front of you and really push yourself for a better understanding of what healthy credit is. Now, with regards to the doctors and the doctor bills, absolutely apply validation and verification to them. But I see this every single day. I have someone say, well, Rick, I don't know if it makes sense to schedule a consultation. I really only have one medical collection. I have, but with one or two rarities a year, have someone who that is the only opportunity that they have to improve their credit.
I'll tell you, if you're in that situation, if you're looking at your credit and you're not totally positive, or you're looking and going, well, this is a lot, I'm not sure where to start, Credilife put something out right before the holidays, and it's still out. It's the Express Audit. It's pretty sick. What happens is once you've opened specifically Identity IQ, you give your login and password to the IDIQ, for the IDIQ, you give it to our administrators, and at Credilife, they're able to import this into the Express Audit, and they put together a document for you that literally reviews every aspect of your credit report and shows you where the strengths are, the weaknesses are, what you want to focus on, and all of that. And you get this PDF document, this Express Audit PDF document. It's got credit education and a breakdown of your individual credit report in it. But then with it, they do a 20-minute one-on-one telephone call with a FICO certified credit coach. Thing's $40. I mean, it's a stupidly cheap deal considering a la carte coaching is like, I think it's like $160 an hour. It's really unreal. So you get this credit audit, this Express Audit, and you get a 20-minute coaching call, and you know where to start. You know what to work on. You know what's important. What I'm going to ask is that one of my administrators or moderators, one of our group leaders, could you please post that in the comments? The Credilife Express Audit, it's a really powerful tool. If you're going to do a self-driven credit repair, you can't do better than that. Talk about a return on the investment. That's a really good one. Kind of went sideways with that, but it brought that up.
It's a great question, Stacy. I'm glad you asked it.
Right.
Here's the best place to start. Exactly what Jeremy said. His pro tips is another thing to go through the credit IQ thing. But push yourself to sit down and do what Jeremy did with this credit report, and push yourself to highlight anything that you know to be, through what we talked about on the site, to be either derogatory or negative and have a negative impact on your credit score. And by the way, your credit report has a much longer memory than you do. Certainly a much longer memory than Jeremy Dysock does.
What are we talking about?
In terms of what is in your mind consciously that might be affecting credit and what's in that credit report. I'll give you a perfect example of in my lifetime and with my credit. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember the old Columbia record and tape clubs where you could, they'd send you a free cassette tape or a CD. Do you know what a cassette tape is?
Do they still, was that before it
was about the time the Brontosaurus Rex was.
You cranked the wheel.
So anyway, they'd send you they'd send you a tape, and if you didn't send them the cash, or if you didn't send them back the tape, they billed you for it. So anyway, it was like one of my first collections. When I first became a loan officer, that was still on my credit report. 11 years later, it was still sitting there on my credit report.
That was the 12 CDs for a penny.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Anyway, my point is that your credit report has a much longer memory of what's going on with your credit than you do. So don't rely on your memory when it comes to issues of credit.
Right. That's back when that Beethoven CD came out, right?
Possibly.
That Ludwig.
Now you're asking me to remember it.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, Adriana says, if I have a mortgage and 3 credit cards, do I need an installment loan? Well, yes and no. It's hard to tell. I haven't seen the rest of your credit report, but it's not going to hurt you to have one.
Nope. Absolutely.
If you're thinking of an installment loan, but maybe you want to do something where you're not paying money kind of uselessly, but instead maybe tucking some money away for a rainy day, I'd recommend you do a self-lender. They're cool. Cool little accounts.
Absolutely.
Hunter says, I would like to know what the probability is of removing multiple repossessions ranging from 3 years ago to 6 months ago. Probability.
I know what the probability is if you do nothing.
Yeah.
That's the only answer I have to that question.
Long story short, Hunter, if you let it sit there, there's about 100% chance it'll be there. If you do something about it, either you do investigation, verification, validation on it, or you retain a professional to help you with it. Either way, you're going to have better results than if you sit there and look at it and wonder when it'll finally go away.
Hunter, it's a great question, and I would say action is much more fruitful than doing nothing or waiting until some mysterious leprechaun comes and makes it fall off your credit report.
Like Chaz.
The credit leprechaun comes along. Do something about it. Take action.
I gotta stop calling him a leprechaun. This is like the 3rd video I've called poor Chaz a leprechaun.
He's not even Irish.
Isn't he really?
No, he's Norwegian.
That bastard. All right. Tamara says, I have a 5.5-year-old eviction on my credit report. It's reported as a collection, not a judgment. For the life of me, I've been working heavily to get it removed. It won't go anywhere. Meanwhile, all the other stuff dropped off. Can eviction be gone? Or should I just say the heck with it and pay it off honestly? Okay, couple options. If you've been trying it over and over and over and over again, what I would do is maybe reach out to the company that holds it, see if they'd consider a pay for deletion. You know, this is the time to maybe open the wallet and start negotiating.
Yeah, evictions create a whole different category of credit, and that's when a landlord, because money is not actually taking, they're not actually lending you money.
Right.
So they have you kind of in their own little stovepipe, if you will. I would 100% agree with Jeremy on that, is try to see if you can get a paper deletion. And here's why paper deletions work more often outside of traditional credit than they do within traditional credit, and that is they're never going to lend you money again. And don't take that the wrong way. They're not interested in doing business with you anymore. They're putting that on your credit report to hold your future credit hostage to get something in return.
Right. They don't care. They don't care if you turn out good, turn out bad. They just want the money back. Now, as far as negotiating, if you do want to negotiate a pay for deletion, do negotiate verbally over the telephone. Don't expect that they'll put it in writing.
No, and there's a couple reasons why not to put it in writing. One is, by putting it in writing, you set a precedence that you want something in return for what they're going to be willing to do. And now they've got one chip against you. They know that they have something you want. The second reason is, and this is a little bit cynical, is they're not going to take you at your word that you're going to give them anything in return for the letter they're going to send you, because they've already had a history of you setting an expectation and not being able to meet it. And don't take that personally. I work in credit. It has a lot to do with the fact that they're already assuming you're a deadbeat and you're never going to make it right. So screw you, allowed to sit in your credit report until it rots off. Is that unfair?
No, that's right on. Good question. Canny, hopefully I'm saying your name right. If not, I'm not. My credit score is 800. No collections, a leased car, 4 credit cards, and a student loan. I have 1 late payment 5 years ago. Will that hurt me when buying a house? Wow, here's what I'm going to say. It depends, because I don't know what that late payment was on. If that late payment was on a mortgage, it could. But typically in mortgage lending, they are not going to look at payments or give much weight to payments that were late, that are over 24 months old. That's pretty, typical guidelines. Honestly, with your score, you may sail through desktop underwriting so quickly that very few underwriters are ever going to even look that closely at it. It's a great question, though.
It is. And a lot of that at that point becomes relative to the types of things you're wanting and needing to do, the size of the loan and things like that. But I would challenge yourself to maybe look at other opportunities, but protect that 800 credit score. And it comes back to something that Jeremy touched on real briefly, and that is, we're working so hard to improve our credit. I hear people so often say, well, I'm going to cancel it. after we've done the audit. I'm going to cancel Identity IQ after I've done the audit, or I'm going to cancel Identity IQ now that you've helped me get to a 700 credit score. With all the work that happens in this office, with the 11 of us that work here, why in the world would you get rid of the one thing that's in place to protect you now that you have your finger on the pulse of your credit?
It's like joining Weight Watchers and going, well, I weighed myself when I started, but I'm not gonna bother with a scale the rest of the time. By the way, I get lighter and lighter because of that. I don't have a scale. I'm also
keep your finger on the pulse of your credit. You have an 800 credit score, protect it.
Yeah.
Protect it. Keep some sort of credit monitoring in place.
Yeah, that's a safety net at that point in time. All right. M says, I understand that we can dispute items on our own, but I feel I may mess up on something that may backfire. Is that a possibility? Kind of, actually. I mean, there are a lot of things you can really do to screw it up. The whole process is pretty foolproof for the most part, but you can walk yourself into some situations where you can cause something to get re-added. You could word something wrong and validate something accidentally.
You could write something that looks like you're refusing to pay.
Right, yeah, that's the big one, cease and desist type of stuff. That's something that there are a couple companies out there that are notorious for sending these letters that look like they're refusing to pay. And so they send off a letter basically hopefully cleaning up things on their credit report, and they get sued.
You could, one other thing, we touched on this earlier about the Capital One, you could actually you could actually get something cleaned off of your credit report that the net benefit of it was positive to have kept in your credit report.
Yep, and with Capital One specifically, there have been a number of people who have done investigations with Capital One on open accounts, on past late payments. For a time, Capital One was closing accounts on people. If you are doing some investigation on student loans, you can screw up a situation where you can't consolidate them, or you can screw up the rehab possibilities. So there are a lot of reasons to have. There's a reason Credilife's in business.
Well, and there's a reason too, to continue to educate yourself. And you're on the right track by feeling like there's a sense of doing it right and doing it wrong. And I'll correct one other thing that you use. You use the term dispute. I never use the term dispute because, quite frankly, I don't know the truth. I don't know if something's verifiable or not until we ask the question.
Yeah, basically, I always say to people, don't dispute something that you know is yours. You know, why are you disputing it? I mean, but what you can do is you don't want to dispute. You want to challenge the integrity of the data. You want to put the burden of proof into the hands of those who are accusing you of guilt, that they can verify, validate, and document that you're guilty. Now, if you're guilty, you're guilty. You know, it is what it is. But the burden of proof is still on them, and if they can't prove it, they have to remove it. There's no shame. There's no foul. There's no ethical conundrum. There's no
sleeping bear that you're waking.
There's no sleeping bear, right? Good stuff. But yeah, I'll tell you, if you're worried about doing this stuff on your own, you've already made the most important first steps. You're in the group. You're watching a video on how to read your credit report and understand it and do it right. I mean, you're already doing the right things. You are quantum leaps ahead of a lot of people who dive in and just try it themselves. Stacy, thank you very much. Thank you for being a member, Stacy. Walter says, and just to make sure we're talking about Credit IQ, right? The article Credit IQ? Okay, there's an article called Credit IQ in the files section written by Rick Leonard. Amazing article. Give it a read. If you haven't done it, you're nuts. Go read it. And if you want to read something from someone, well, just damn attractive, there's also, what the hell's my article?
Pro tips.
Pro tips. We were talking about memory earlier, weren't we? I don't remember. So yeah, but for that, otherwise for credit monitoring, we are talking about Identity IQ. Let's see what else we got. There's the Express audit. I got Dr. Bill's student loans and older items. How do I get help to get them removed? Well, if you want to get help to get them removed, you can always get professional help from a company like Credilife. If anyone wants to set an initial consultation and assessment with Credilife, I just dropped the scheduling link down into the comments section, Lysandra.
I would say too, Lysandra, with the amount of items that you outlined there, it doesn't sound like a do-it-yourself type scenario. If you had one or two things on there, maybe, but student loans are huge, and they're huge for one important reason. Student loans fund in separate semesters, so it's multiple accounts for every semester they were funded that you were in school, and they can be difficult.
All right, let's see. We've got Hunter says, well, Chaz is my coach. Let's hope he can work his lucky charms. Oh, poor Chaz. That's awesome. That's awesome. Tamara, thanks. Why would someone add a personal statement to their credit report? That's a great question from Lolo Ann Evans. Why would someone add a? Well, I have one on mine. I literally added a statement to my credit report just to see if they put it. My statement says the streets will run red with the blood of the non-believers. So anytime someone pulls up my credit report, they see one of the very first things, a statement that says the streets will run red with the blood of the non-believers. I like to think that makes them afraid to deny me.
It probably doesn't. They don't ask you a lot of questions.
They don't ask a whole lot of anything. No, usually they don't ask me to come back either.
There are a couple of reasons to add comments. One is if you wanted to put a fraud alert or let a potential lender know that you've had issues of fraud. There are a number of different reasons. I will tell you this. Make sure that if you do put a fraud alert on there, you remember that you had it on there. I have a lot of people saying I keep getting denied credit, and go back to find out that the reason they were getting denied credit is they had a fraud alert on there. Keep this one principle in mind, and I think Brian Kurzweil will talk about this a little bit more on Friday. And the best line I ever heard Brian put out there when it came to credit was, there's only one person that has the right and the responsibility to impact your credit, and that's you. So take responsibility for whatever comments you put in there, regardless of what they are, and own it.
Yep. Adriana asks, after I send an investigation letter, if I don't get an answer, how soon should I send a letter to get removed? Actually, well, if you get no answer whatsoever, we do have a follow-up letter in the file section. I wouldn't think about doing it till at least 45, 50 days after you sent that first letter.
The other thing I would keep in mind is look at your credit monitoring. Oftentimes is the case, you didn't get a result letter because they mailed it to a different address than the one that's on file in your profile section in your credit report.
There you go. Kimberly asks, I used Lexington Law in the past to get some things taken off my credit report. They were removed and came right back. Well, I still have the option to get rid of them completely working with your company, which I actually am right now. Well, number one, I'd like to compliment you on your taste in companies now. But number two, yeah, they can be taken back off. I'm not sure why they came back on. There are a number of ways they can. If something was done electronically, they can come back on. If something was actually revalidated, if you got if you made a payment, if you got a 5-day notification, which is super rare, but if you got there's a formal Fair Credit Reporting Act 5-day notification that they can send to put something back on, but we typically don't see that.
Kimberly, your file just came through, by the way. Thanks for signing up. Pay attention closely to your coach. Pay close attention to Katie, our account administrator, and when they advise you that something has been removed, and if they feel there's an opportunity to settle it after it's been removed, do it, because now the ball is in your court to take action that's favorable to you and your credit.
Excellent. Esmer says, I received a letter from AFNI debt collector, and the letter states I have 30 days to dispute the validity of the debt. So that would be what's known as a dunning letter. Can I still dispute after those 30 days? Yes. I sent a letter to verify the accounting. It seems way off, but I'm wondering if it'll be ignored because I mailed it after 30 days. No. There we go. So yes, you may, and no, they can't ignore it. Here's the deal. Are they on your credit? If they're on your credit, they have to follow the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. They must prove it or they must remove it. Kimberly Ann says, sorry, I'm using Siri and she hates me. Hopefully this makes sense. My Siri loves me. Well, let's see if we can do this. Hey, Siri, what's my name?
You're Jeremy. But since we're friends, I get to call you Big Sexy.
See, I told you she loves me. All right, Joe says.
That's awesome.
Joe says, first premiere shows that I was issued a credit card in 2010. It's still showing after I got Lexington Law to dispute it, and it was taken off, but somehow it showed back up again. I am noticing a Lexington Law theme here tonight. I'm not saying. Just saying. Lexington Law said they find ways to put it back on my credit. Yeah, somebody blew some smoke up your keister. That's not how things work. Man, this is why it pays to have a coach. This is why it pays to have a coach.
You know, Lexington Law does very well within a very narrow margin of credit repair, and that's processing a very lengthy, throttled-out process of verifying and validation.
Right.
But if a coach or an expert or professional is never giving you the sound advice of when to reach out and do some debt management, then the opportunity came and went.
Yeah.
And there just isn't any other way to do it other than have an experienced coach like Chaz or myself or Jared tell you, hey, now is the
or an
best
attractive
time.
one like me,
or an attractive one like Jeremy, the big sexy, to tell you,
big
hey,
sexy.
now's the time to consider debt settlement because, one, it's removed from your credit report. Two, they're no longer holding your future credit hostage, so therefore they're getting what right now? Nothing, and therefore they may be open to accepting something.
Right. Yeah.
Having a professional coach help with debt management is huge.
I feel bad for you on that one, Joe. It's wow. I mean, I don't even have to tell you. You two who just posted literally back to back on this can talk to each other. You each gave each other a testimonial on what their situation is. Daniel says, is sending a cashier's check with a pay to delete or cash to never send cash. Just never send cash. All right. Is sending a cashier's check with pay to delete or cash to delete from credit report be sufficient for getting medical collections removed, or would writing a letter first be better? All right. Step one. You're going to write letters. You're going to verify and validate and document. If they can't prove it, they have to remove it. Now the ball is in your court. You've got more negotiation power. Secondly, you are going to do this over the telephone. You're not going to do it in a letter. The people who told you to do it in a letter, bless their hearts. I think that's what they say down south. Bless their hearts. Bless their hearts. All right, Stacy says, does the fact that I have doctor bills on my credit, wait, hold on, what? Oh, due to the fact that I've got doctor bills on my credit, now taking all the info you've provided, I really had a goal of buying a home next year. Would it make sense to speak with the lender to get roots I should take now, or should I wait until I get the med bills under control? Both. It's never too early to start the dialogue. You're going to have an opportunity if you're around on this Friday, the 12th. This is a good segue. If you're around on Friday the 12th at noon Eastern, 11 Central, 10 Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific time, we're going to have a special Facebook Live featuring FICO certified former credit coach and FICO certified mortgage loan officer Brian Kurzweil with TCF Bank Home Loans. He and I are going to be doing a live. We'll probably tag Rick in too, see what we can do to kind of spice things up. And this will be an opportunity for you to ask. He also is one of the moderators of the group, so you may ask him directly in the group that question. But I'm a big fan of saying always start the dialogue.
Stacy, one of the things you might have to divulge in that conversation is the size of the medical debt.
Right.
I know a lot of underwriters have some thresholds when it comes to the size of the debt.
Yep.
The $2,000 is very different than a $200 medical collection.
Right.
So just keep some of those questions in mind and ask them.
Great questions. Lola Evans, yay me. Brittany says, phone died, but I'm back. I have an appointment for one tomorrow, p.m., I hope. Awesome. Can't wait to talk to you. Robin says, can I get a fraud removed from a bank account I did not open? Yes, Robin, if you haven't done a police report, do a police report. And if you haven't done a police report, do a police report. Then go to the top of the group into the files section. You'll see an FTC fraud affidavit form. Fill out the fraud affidavit form, take a copy of the police report and the fraud affidavit form, submit that to the bureaus. That's your first step.
Absolutely.
Spot on. Tamara says, I looked at my Equifax credit report 4 months ago and noticed all of my student loans with Navient were gone. Like poof, overnight. But on TransUnion Experian, student loans are still there. What happened? Why would Equifax delete them? I do pay my loans on time, monthly, but curious as to why it's all gone off one bureau. Still this day, not the other. There's no clue. Then again, Equifax gave everyone's info away to everybody, so bless their hearts. No idea, Tamara. I'd have to do a full credit.
I would agree with Jeremy. It probably has something to do with the fact that 143 million credit profiles were compromised.
Yep.
And under the scrutiny there with the government right now, it could be something from them, that pops back up 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
Be vigilant in keeping an eye on your credit report. That's the whole purpose of this video. Is you are responsible for what's in your credit report. Keep looking at it. Keep monitoring it. Keep asking questions.
Lilan says, my credit report has 20 different variations of my name. My actual name is listed 6 times on the list. Yeah, in your case, disputed. It won't help your score, but, man, it's going to end a lot of confusion.
I might even make a phone call.
Yeah, I would call you. You know what? Yeah, this is one of the rare times I'm going to say call. So, Lilan, go up to the file section of the group. In the file section of the group, I've got I just this last week uploaded a credit bureau contact list. There's phone numbers for each of them. That's such a simple one. If you're calling literally just to clarify name stuff, yeah, that's so dang simple. Call them. They may want you to send in your ID or something like that, but talk to them first. That's one of the few rare exceptions where I'm like, yeah, just make a phone call. The other rare exception, in case people are wondering, is when you're trying to get rid of dispute language off the credit bureau. That's a different topic for a different day. Candy says, do y'all have a group for people trying to buy a house? So far, this one, but we're working on it. Brittany says, how would my husband go? I love that one. There. How would he go about having his consultation? Is scheduled crazy, and he works from 4 a.m. to off at 8 p.m. Only Sundays is off. Sundays is going to be a hell of a time trying to find a coach, quite frankly. But we do evenings. We do Saturdays. We can do some morning. We can find a time. And Brittany, I'll tell you what, not to sound cavalier, but if this is important to him, he's going to find some time.
Consultation is about 45 minutes, Brittany, and over a lunch break, over Saturday, a lot of the coaches are here every other Saturday.
Several coffee breaks.
I know Jared is here most Saturdays. Yeah. Find the time. What might be helpful for him is to do the credit audit.
Mm-hmm.
Get on the phone with Jared for 20 minutes or myself for 20 minutes and go through the audit, and at least define the value proposition of what services might provide, and then make a decision from there.
I'm going to make things a couple of things easy for you here. I'm going to put, this is step one. I just put up the link for the Identity IQ so that you can get the credit report started, because that's going to be something that needs to be looked at anyway. Let's get ahead of it, get his credit report pulled up.
Yep, do that. And then, Brittany, one other thing too is, and if you are married, this is between you and him. If you have time, I am never going to ask you, Brittany, to prove you're not your husband, but just make sure you got it covered with him so that you can act as a power of attorney on his behalf.
Yeah, I mean, I always figure if you're willing to marry someone, you can probably, talk about them or something. All right, I put the credit audit there too. Those are two things that can be done quite literally, basically automated. For you in the process. That might make life super easy if schedules are as crazy as
we can bring him in later to get signatures and bring him in later to get some of the other things done, but you can do 99% of the legwork without his direct involvement.
Right. Literally at this point in time, you do the credit audit, you get the credit report open, let us know what the goal is, and man, that's honestly,
and you have control over how if he's going to do it.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. If he's too busy to do the few steps, he's going to need your help anyway. He's going to need your backup to get, if there's accounts that need to be opened or managed in certain ways. So if you guys are willing to pull as a team towards your goals, we're willing to pull as a team to get you there. Ooh, that was nice. That was nice. I like that. Great success. All right, we're going to wrap things up a little bit here. Oh, well, let's see, one last thing. Tamara says, if I do have a car loan, do I need a self-lender still? I do have 3 credit cards as well. You don't need one if it's open, active, and in good shape. But I tell you what, I know a lot of people who open them and use them as Christmas accounts. It's not going to hurt you to have additional history of positive repayment on money.
There's one other thing that the self-lender forces, I think, everybody in this group, and if there's anybody that cares to argue, go ahead and tell me I'm wrong. But it forces Americans to do one thing we do a horrible job of, and that's saving money. I would rather see someone have a self-lender account that funds for $500 to put new tires on their car next winter than spend that money on a Capital One card.
For sure.
So very rarely, unless you don't make your payments on time, is the self-lender account a bad idea.
Yep. Erica asks, are the consultations free or is the price transferred getting a coach? Your initial assessment and stuff like that, there's no cost because, number one, we haven't done anything, really. And number two, I don't know what you need until I get a chance to talk to you.
Yeah, there's a huge thing in what we want to do, and that's make sure we have a fit. Do we have a solution? Have we identified the issue? Do we have a solution? And then most importantly, we want to educate you through the process. If we don't have buy-in from you, if we don't have an idea of what you're buying into and understanding the steps that need to be taken, we're not here to take your money. Right. We're here to make sure you're going to follow a process and a program.
Yep, there's a reason that, I'll tell you what, as a company, Credilife, there's a reason that it's willing to back up a group that's got 34,000 people in it where we literally tell you what to do, tell you how to do it, give you sample letters on how to do it for free. That's our mission. We're big on outreach. Speaking of mission, Haiti mission, if you have not contributed, please do. We are over the minimum that we needed to send our missionary. Yes, our group has its own missionary that's going to be boots down in Haiti in June. She's my daughter, so I'm scared shitless, quite frankly, of my daughter going to Haiti, but that's a different story for a different day. She's going to be
like you. She's going to go no matter how you feel about it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, she could probably win a machete fight anyway. She'll be fine. But all the money that's over, we partnered up with a group called Feed My Starving Children, where for 25 cents a day, it can provide an entire meal for a child for a full day with all the nutritional needs and stuff they have. It's unbelievable. So with the amount of money that we're over already, we have actually fed enough to feed 2 children who quite literally otherwise will have starved to death for a year. So, I mean, this is some insane stuff we're doing. Obviously, Credilife's big into outreach. Again, every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, CrediTV live here in the group and free credit repair advice. Don't forget special CrediTV this Friday the 12th at 11 a.m. with Brian Kurzweil, FICO certified mortgage lender with TCF Home Loans. We'll be answering your questions live about credit and obtaining a mortgage and buying a home. If you want to set yourself up for a credit consultation, I've put a link in the group if you'd like to talk to a coach at Credilife. Other than that, my name is Jeremy Dysock, FICO certified Credilife coach.
Joined by Rick Wenner, also a FICO certified credit coach. I'll say one other thing too, what Jeremy's got going on with the outreach and what we all have going on with the outreach. Your situation, regardless of how much you feel it's bad, is nowhere near some of the people we share this planet with. We talk about things like worrying about financing cars and homes and getting, you know, our monthly staple income to go as far as we want it to, and that's great. By all means, go ahead and do it. But just keep in mind as we're going through these things to improve our lives that there's people that don't have the opportunity to even get on the footsteps of, you know, on the porch of where we are. So spread the love, give out some credit hugs.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks a lot for CrediTV, for the free credit repair advice group, and sponsored by Credilife. Thanks a lot. Y'all have a great night. Be safe, and don't forget, give to Haiti.